Today I will tell you 3 scary Airbnb stories. Story 1. If you ever find yourself at the Thornfield Lodge in Ash Hollow, Oregon, steer clear of room 214. Business trips are a slog, endless meetings, stale coffee, the usual grind. The one silver lining? Hotels. Crisp sheets, a quiet room, maybe a little chocolate on the pillow. I used to dream of living in one, soaking in that calm, polished vibe. That was before my stay at the Thornfield Lodge turned that love into something else entirely. At first glance, it was standard fare. Predictable layout, tasteful decor, a desk clerk with a practiced smile. Nothing stood out until I got my key card and headed to room 214. Something felt off, like the hallway stretched a little too long, or the air hung heavier than it should. I brushed it aside, figuring it was just fatigue from the drive. But when I stepped into the room, there it was, a single page on the bed, printed on Thornfield Lodge letterhead, titled Room 214 Guidelines. No radio after 8 p.m. Only answer calls from the front desk on the room phone. Do not leave your room between 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. Never ride the elevator alone, always with at least one other person. Ignore any knocks at the door. No guests allowed. The vending machine is for emergencies only. The window shows an illusion. Don't believe it. Enjoy your stay. It concluded in cheery cursive. I'd stayed in dozens of hotels, from budget motels to swanky high-rises, and never seen anything like this. Curious, I dialed the front desk. All guidelines must be followed during your stay, the clerk said, voice flat, like he'd recited it to 100 guests before me. What's this about? Why no radio? What's the vending machine for? And the window shows an illusion. What's that supposed to mean? All guidelines must be followed during your stay. Click. The line went dead. No answers, just that robotic mantra. I figured it was some quirky gimmick, maybe a local tradition I didn't get. Shaking my head, I tossed the paper onto the nightstand and forgot about it. Until that night, lying in bed, I flipped on the radio around 8:30 p.m., tuning into a late-night talk show. The host was mid-story when his tone shifted. He started coughing softly at first, then harder, a wet, hacking sound. It grew frantic, like he was choking on something. Between gasps, he kept talking, unfazed, until his voice rasped out, "Don't ignore the rules, Sam." The broadcast cut to static. I bolted upright, heart pounding, and switched off the radio. That was my name. Grabbing my key card, I stormed downstairs to the lobby, my voice bouncing off the polished walls. "What's going on here?" I demanded, leaning over the counter. The clerk didn't flinch. "How can I assist you, sir?" "Your radio just had some guy choking, saying my name, telling me to follow your weird rules. Is this a prank?" He glanced at the clock behind him, 8:42 p.m., and said, "In room 214, there's no radio after." I slammed my hand on the desk. "Cut it out. If this keeps up, I'm calling the cops." "You hear me?" His expression didn't shift. "All guidelines must be followed during your stay." Fuming, I marched back to my room, turned off everything, and tried to sleep. But rest didn't come easy. I woke later, trapped in that awful limbo of sleep paralysis. My body wouldn't move, and at the foot of the bed stood a figure, tall, shadowy, indistinct. The room grew stifling, like a heater cranked too high. As it stepped closer, I made out details. A woman, maybe in her 60s, silver hair pinned up, dressed in an old-fashioned suit. She leaned over me, her voice low and warped, vibrating through the walls. "Welcome, Sam. I'm Evelyn Thornfield, proprietress of this lodge. I like to check in on my guests." Her hand brushed my wrist, sharp and cold, like ice biting skin. I couldn't even flinch. "Stick to the guidelines, Sam. Break them, and things get complicated. The heat vanished, and my phone's ringtone snapped me awake. I sat up, gasping, free to move again. The room was empty, my wrist unmarked. A dream, I told myself, grabbing my phone. It was my colleague, Mara. Sam, plans changed. Meet me in the lobby, quick. What's up? I mumbled, still foggy. No time, hurry. Click. The clock read 1:12 a.m. The rules flashed in my mind. No leaving between 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. I called the front desk. My boss needs me downstairs. I don't care about your rules. Don't pull anything strange, got it? Keys clacked faintly over the line. Our records show Mara Hensley is in her room. Asleep. Asleep? How would you know? No one's in the lobby. Just me and the potted ivy, sir. I hung up and dialed Mara. She answered, groggy. Sam, what's this about? I was out cold. You didn't just call me to meet downstairs? A tired groan. No. What's wrong with you? Can I sleep? Wait, did you get a weird list of rules in your room? Nope. Good night. Click. I sank onto the bed, mind spinning. Mara's voice was unmistakable. I'd know that sharp edge anywhere. But if she hadn't called, who had? The radio, the dream, now this, it was too much. I was unraveling. The next day dragged on meetings, spreadsheets, the usual. Mara and I returned to the lodge, but the comfort I once found in hotels was gone, replaced by a gnawing dread. I sat on the bed, still in my work clothes, staring at the guidelines. They made no sense, yet something was happening, something I couldn't explain. I wanted to chalk it up to stress, but deep down, I knew better. After changing and slipping under the covers, a knock rattled the door. Rule 5. Ignore any knocks. It felt ridiculous, but I stayed put. Then came Mara's voice. Sam, you there? Your brother called me, said he couldn't reach you. It's about Ethan. My chest tightened. Ethan was my son. I leapt up, flung the door open, and Mara stepped in, her face grim. What happened to Ethan? It's not good, Sam. Tell me. She hesitated, eyes glistening. Ethan's gone, Sam. The room spun. My knees buckled, tears streaming as I collapsed onto the bed. Mara rested a hand on my shoulder. There's more. Sit down. What else could there be? I choked out. You broke Rule 5. Now I have to make you pay. Her mouth twisted into a smirk, and she froze, statue still. Mara, what? Her hand shot to my throat, squeezing tight. I thrashed, landing weak punches, but she didn't budge. My vision blurred, lungs burning, until darkness swallowed me. I thought that was it. I woke in bed, morning light filtering through the curtains. My phone buzzed with a text from my wife. Lena, dropped Ethan at school. He misses you. Be safe. Love you. I stumbled to the bathroom mirror, no marks on my neck. I called Lena, voice shaky. Ethan was fine, chattering about recess. It felt so real, the hands, the fear, but it wasn't. Another dream? At breakfast, I avoided Mara's gaze. She noticed, asked if I was okay. I mumbled about bad fish from the lounge, dodging the truth. How could I explain without sounding unhinged? 2 more nights, I told myself. Just hold on. That night, I woke at 11:47 p.m. to an orange glow flickering on the wall. Dragging myself to the window, I saw flames licking up the lodge's base, clawing toward my floor. Panic hit. I yelled, fire. Everyone out, and ran into the hall. Silence. No footsteps, no voices. I tried a door, unlocked. Inside, the talk show host stood, throat raw and red, staring at me. You didn't listen, Sam. I slammed it shut. Next room, Mara, hands around a lifeless version of me. She turned, lunging. No escaping, Sam. I shut that one too. The third door stopped me cold. Lena and Ethan, eyes hollow, skin blistering as they burned. "We miss you, Sam," Lena said. "When are you coming home, Dad?" Ethan added. I sprinted to the elevator, jabbing the button. Footsteps closed in, the host, Mara, Lena, Ethan, shambling toward me. Work, damn it. The doors parted just in time, and I dove in, hitting the ground floor button. They slid shut as the figures reached me. The elevator lurched, then plummeted. Lights flickered. In the strobes, Evelyn appeared. "You've broken nearly every rule, Sam. You'll ruin everything." She vanished. Darkness took over. I braced for the end, picturing Lena and Ethan laughing in the yard. The goodbye stung, same as always. "Wake up, Sam." Evelyn's voice boomed. I jolted awake, crashing to the carpet in room 214. The list was clutched in my hand. Rule 7 circled. The window shows an illusion. Don't believe it. It clicked. The fire wasn't real, just a trick to lure me out. The clock read 2:13 a.m., safe to leave. I had to go. I grabbed the knob, scorching hot. Charred wood lined the door's base. Smoke seeped in. A scribbled note on the list read, "You didn't listen, Sam. This is your fault. We'll all pay." Rule 7 was underlined in red now. Taunting me? Or warning me? At the window, the fire raged outside, but below, the parking lot sat calm, no flames, no chaos. The illusion. I pried at the glass. It slammed shut, bruising my fingers. Grunting, I hurled the desk chair through it. Shards fell, revealing a real blaze below, screams echoing up. No illusion this time. Rule 6. The vending machine is for emergencies only. This qualified. I yanked it open. No snacks, just a metal box with a green button. Smoke thickened. No instructions left. I pressed it. I shut. Memories flashing. The night's terror, the day before, all rewinding. When I opened them, I was in the lobby, first day, with Mara. "Not bad, huh, Sam?" "Beats that last dump," she said. My hands ached, bruised from the window. "Yeah, slammed them in the car door," I muttered. "Both." The clerk cut in. "Reservation, sir?" I stared, memories flooding back, then backed away. "I'm going for an Airbnb, Mara. See you tomorrow." She waved me off, annoyed, and took her key. "Room 214, ma'am," the clerk said as I hit the door. "Enjoy your stay." Story 2. To anyone thinking about starting a rental business, here's my advice. Run background checks. I know it's not perfect. It might scare off some guests, but you never know who's stepping onto your property or what they're planning behind closed doors. Even if they've got a flawless rating on the app, glowing reviews can hide a lot. Sometimes, the best guests are the ones working hardest to keep their secrets buried. My story begins 2 years ago, when an older man named Harold booked my little retreat in Willow Creek, Montana, a cozy cabin tucked beside a quiet pond. Harold's profile was charming. He'd been on the rental app forever, a retired architect exploring the country. His bio mentioned a passion for crafting little projects like wind chimes, carved signs, or wooden trinkets. In his message, he was polite, promising to tidy up any sawdust or scraps if I let him tinker during his stay. I said sure, as long as he kept it clean, and he didn't let me down. Honestly, I never heard a single tool hum, but when he left, the cabin was spotless, shinier than I'd ever left it myself. I almost felt bad charging him. He came back maybe 8 or 9 times over the next couple of years. We didn't chat much, but he seemed kind enough. Always gone before I woke up, his old van with a tarp over the back disappearing down the dirt road by dawn. I catch glimpses of him hauling paint cans to and from the vehicle, and once I heard what might have been a sander or grinder on his first visit, never again after that. He'd work at night, sleep through the day, and leave these warm reviews about the pond's stillness and the cabin's charm. Quiet guy, reliable 5 stars, and a free deep clean every time. He'd always rave about the pond. "It's stunning, Clara," he wrote once. "No boats, no splashing, just pure serenity. I'll skip the noisy tools and just paint my projects here instead." Keeps the peace. I couldn't argue. That pond was my treasure. Too small for boating, too mossy for swimming, it stayed pristine, untouched by chaos. I bought the land years ago to share that beauty, opening the cabin on the app so others could escape to it. I'd tell guests they could pop by my house nearby if they wanted, but I'd leave them be for privacy. Most were couples on getaways, lone travelers needing a breather, or the occasional group of friends cutting loose. Everything was fine, until a woman named Mia stayed alone one weekend and mentioned something odd. "It's not a big deal, Clara," but I kept hearing this, clicking, like a lens snapping shut. That threw me. I don't have cameras, nothing beyond basic locks, so we searched the cabin together. Top to bottom, we found zilch. We even stood there, holding our breath, waiting for the sound. Nothing clicked, nothing flashed. I told her I'd never snoop on guests and offered a discount for the unease. She nodded, apologized, said maybe she'd imagined it. Then, at 3 a.m., she bolted. I checked the place at sunrise. Everything looked normal. I braced for a bad review, but a week later, something worse hit. Mia's name in the Willow Creek Gazette. She'd vanished. Her brother told the paper she'd called him after leaving my cabin. Spooked? She said she felt eyes on her, he said. We joked it was just nerves, but she called again from her place in town, still rattled. I told her to come home, but she brushed it off. Then she stopped answering. Her apartment door was busted open, stuff tossed around, clear signs she'd been taken. My hands shook as I read it. Willow Creek wasn't that kind of place. I brewed some chamomile and sat by the pond, staring at the cabin, wondering if I should dig deeper. The news churned my stomach, so I focused on the water instead. When the morning light hit, the pond's floor sparkled with smooth stones, a sight that always calmed me. It's why I'd settled here. Over the next year, more people disappeared, 11 in all. Our sleepy town was unraveling. I reached out to other rental hosts in the area via a chat group, fishing for clues. No one had much to say until a trio of college kids rented my cabin for a wild weekend. They blasted music I didn't get and laughed loud enough to echo, but I let it slide. A little noise can make the quiet feel sweeter later. At dawn, I was sipping tea on my porch when a shout jolted me. "Amber!" Tea splashed across my legs as a guy, Ethan, stumbled out of the woods, frantic. I called out, "Hey, you okay?" "I'm Clara. I run this place. What's wrong?" "We can't find her," he gasped. Another guy, Ryan, emerged from the trees, shaking his head. "It's been hours. We need cops." I dialed 911 while Ethan barged into my house, yelling Amber's name, flipping cushions. Ryan apologized for him as a girl, Sophie, ran up from the cabin, phone in hand. "I'm calling the police. She's been gone too long." I waved her over, said I'd already called, and invited them inside to explain. Over tea, they said they'd heard rustling near Amber's tent around 2 a.m. Thought she'd gone to the car or the bathroom, but she never came back. Her tent was a mess, blankets everywhere, stuff scattered. The two in the cabin hadn't heard a thing. Police swarmed in, searching the woods, the pond, everything. Ethan, it turned out, had lost a friend to the vanishings months back, a girl snatched from her apartment downtown. He'd hoped this trip would lift his spirits. An officer waded into the pond, poking through the moss, but found nothing. When they asked about cameras, I said I didn't have any. Never needed them, I told them. This town used to be safe. Used to be, the officer replied. Word spread fast. The kids left a scathing review, and my cabin's bookings dried up. The host chat exploded. People I'd never met tossing theories around, some even whispering I might be involved. Me. I posted, "Hey, it's Clara. I'm shaken too. Hope they find Amber." The thread went dead silent. I cried that night, stunned that strangers could suspect me. But I got it. Their fear, the headlines, the fact it happened on my land. I stayed off my phone, sipped tea, and tried to sleep it off. Weeks passed, bookings flatlined, except for Harold. He came back, same as always. I didn't ask if he'd heard the news, just let him do his thing. Then one night, his van's engine roared, waking me. I peeked out and saw him stuck in the mud by the pond, tires spinning. Furious, I ran out, yelling, "What are you doing tearing up my yard?" He gunned it, freed the van, and screeched toward me, stopping short. "Stay out of it, you nosy hag, or you'll end up in that pond." He snarled, then sped off. A big canvas sack flew from his tailgate as he peeled out. I called the cops, but with no harm done, they prioritized the missing cases. I checked the cabin, tire tracks aside, it was fine. Still, I couldn't settle. I paced, then sat by the pond as the sun rose, fighting tears. This was my home, my sanctuary, someone was ruining it. I didn't feel safe anymore. Defeated, I grabbed my phone to call a realtor when the chat lit up again. Another disappearance, this time at a rental in town. The host, Tara, said a couple had stayed, and on night 2, someone broke in. The guy was hurt bad, gone, and the woman taken. But they found something, a carved wooden clock on a shelf Tara didn't recognize. Inside, a tiny camera and mic. The chat erupted. "I had an old guy like that, retired architect, super neat," one said. Mine said he was an engineer, left everything spotless, another chimed in. Then a photo, a wind chime hanging outside a rental, aimed at the window. The next pic showed a camera tucked inside. Chills hit me. I typed, "Everyone, check your places now, lights, decor, anything wooden. Bring anything weird to the station. I'll be there in an hour." I tore my cabin apart, nothing. Others found cameras and coasters, picture frames, everywhere. At the station, we learned every host had rented to this guy a Harold, or whatever his real name was. No trace of him existed. Cops said he'd listen in, target women who mentioned plans or addresses, then strike when they were alone or even with others, growing bolder. My place and Tara's were just the latest. They launched a nationwide hunt, but our rental scene was toast. We bonded over the chat, leaning on each other. Still, one question nagged. Why do you keep coming back to my cabin and leave nothing? Months later, I tore the cabin down, desperate to erase it all. That's when I found it. A hidden panel on the outer wall, fit so precise you'd miss it unless you knew. It led to a crawl space between the bathroom and living room, big enough for a person. Inside, a crate to sit on, food crumbs, a small saw, and peepholes drilled into both rooms, tiny enough for an eye or a lens. He'd been in there, watching. I called the cops, shared pics with the group, and demolished the rest. I moved my bench to the pond's far side, craving a fresh view. Blanket around me, tea in hand, I watched the sunrise, determined to reclaim my peace. As light swept the water, the stones below gleamed, joined by shapes I hadn't seen before. Painted sacks, blending with the rocks, scattered across the bottom. From this angle, they were unmistakable. My tea went cold as I stared, the truth sinking in. My tranquil pond held the secrets of Willow Creek's lost. Story 3. I've got a warning, not a recommendation for anyone eyeing a retreat I booked on Airbnb. My wife and I lost more than just a weekend getaway. Maybe someone out there can help piece together the gaps in my memory. I'm desperate for answers. We live in Oregon with our cat, Juniper. My wife, Nora, and I both juggle jobs in a decent circle of friends, or at least friendly faces, so our days stay pretty full. We're homebodies at heart, but between coffee dates, errands, and catwalks, our calendar rarely catches a break. That's why we jump at any chance to escape for a few days. Last autumn, Nora wrapped up a grueling work project, and I had a rare lull at my job. We pounced on the opportunity for a 3-day retreat in the Cascade Mountains. Our friend Elise, a coworker of mine, tagged along outside the office. We got along great, so we welcomed her company. Here's where my memory starts to blur. We snagged a rental on Airbnb, dirt cheap. The host mentioned a last-minute cancellation, but when I checked later, there was no trace of it. No bank charge, no email. Nothing. I call it a retreat, but don't picture a rustic shack. Think more like a sleek, modern chalet meets a fairy tale hideaway, tall glass walls, a gourmet kitchen, the works. I showed Nora the listing, and she grinned. Babe, I'd marry that place. Decision made. A week later, we hit the road. I can't pinpoint where we drove after leaving the main highway. My phone's GPS has no record of it. The mountains were stunning, though, golden aspens, fiery maples, deep evergreens fading into misty blues. We took it slow, pulling over at scenic lookouts, grabbing apples from a roadside stall. The seller, a wiry guy in a flannel jacket, asked where we were headed. I told him, wish I could recall what I said. His face tightened, eyes sharp with something like dread. He grabbed my arm, hard, then forced a smile. Have a good stay. It's a real gem. What was that about? Nora asked as we pulled away. Mountain charm, maybe? I quipped, but my unease grew as his tense stare faded in the rear view. Elise's red hatchback was already parked when we arrived. Through our windshield, speckled with pine sap, the retreat loomed, sharp angles, pale wood, a steep roof line, and a glassed-in porch wrapping around it. I can still see it vividly. I've sketched it a dozen times, but my shaky lines never do it justice. We unloaded groceries and bags, eager for crisp hikes and quiet nights with cider and the hum of forest life. Elise met us at the door, or rather, stood there silently as Nora pushed it open. She looked drained, shadows under her eyes. Hey, Lise, Nora chirped, wrapping her in a clumsy, classic Nora hug. Elise's gaze locked onto mine over Nora's shoulder, wide and trembling, like the apple seller's. Her lips quivered as she mouthed, "Stop." Nora, oblivious, gushed, "This place is unreal, right? Where's, she trailed off. Damn it. Some details still slipped through my fingers. Come in. Nora, you're gonna lose it over the deck view, pure magic. But first, cider. Elise snapped into her bubbly self, like a switch flipped. Nora barreled past, and I followed, lugging a backpack and Nora's suitcase, wondering if Elise was messing with me. She loved a good deadpan joke. Maybe she'd met that Apple guy too. Coincidence, I told myself, ignoring the itch at the back of my skull. Stepping inside, the retreat's beauty hit me hard. It glowed, airy and dreamlike. Floor-to-ceiling windows lined the main room, framing a loft with cushy armchairs behind a sleek metal railing. Below, a sunken lounge beckoned with minimalist furniture and a stone fireplace. Nina Simone's voice floated through, a version of feeling good I didn't recognize. No TV up here? I noted, setting down the bags. Thank the host for that. And the cider, Elise said, pouring 3 mugs from a pitcher. Don't sweat it, Ben. There's a record player. Time to show off those dance moves from your wedding. She caught my frown. Oh, come on. If you're dying for a screen, the listing mentioned one in the cellar. Nora and Elise thrived on music and drinks, but I craved a game now and then. Still, I figured I'd soak in the piece first. The days of haze after that. Cider. Sure. Maybe Nora and I cooking something simple. It was calm. Until 3 a.m. Nora shook me awake, frantic. Ben, we left Junie in the car. She's been out there all night, scared, cold. Please, get her. Nor, we dropped Juniper at the pet sitter. I mumbled, half asleep. You waved by to her yourself. Her breathing steadied, and she crashed back to sleep. I didn't. That apple seller's face haunted me, pleading, warning. I tried picturing the weekend ahead, drifting off, when a scratching started. Slow, deliberate, at the bedroom door. Juniper's miles away, I reminded myself. The knob twitched. Elise, we're good. I hissed. Click. The bolt slid, and the door eased open a crack. Elise, chill. No answer. I watched it, tense, until exhaustion pulled me under. Morning came. Nora had no memory of her panic, and Elise claimed she'd slept through. I'd heard the scratching, seen the door. I knew I had. Maybe it's haunted, Elise teased, stirring a pitcher of orange juice. Nora laughed. I'd haunt this place too. It's too perfect to leave. They glowed, buzzing with energy. I felt wrung out, but the juice helped. The host cider, like yesterday's, had a metallic bite, Cascade crest. The label read, familiar, but forgettable. Did you pass an apple stand on your way up, Lise? I asked, probing her odd welcome. Nope, straight shot here. Why? You snagged some weird fruit. She smirked. Nausea hit. Her stop from yesterday, what did it mean? I stewed on it while Nora cleared the table. Hike. Anyone? I offered. We're raiding the records for hidden treasures, Nora said. Go enjoy the trails, get that wild mountain vibe going. I faked a grin. Normally, I tease her about Elise, but dread outweighed any playful jab. Alone, I hit a trail behind the retreat, rugged, winding, a good burn for my legs to quiet my head. The air cleared my fog. At a ridge, my phone buzzed. I hadn't touched it since we arrived, work's leash forgotten. Maybe this place was special, I thought, pulling it out. 12 missed calls, 19 texts. Then it died. Panic clawed me. Saturday, who'd call that much? Juniper? No, something else. I bolted back, tripping over roots, mind racing. A signal must have slipped through up there. How long had they been trying? I walked too long. The trail was simple, an hour out max. I'd been at it for hours. I marked trees, doubled back, nothing. No retreat. Hunger gnawed. Dusk loomed. I wasn't equipped for this. Would Nora search? I pictured her lost in the dark, calling my name. I sank to the dirt, tears stinging. Why hadn't I turned back at that stall? Then, through the trees, I saw it, those glowing windows. I'd passed this spot a dozen times. It wasn't there before. Now it was, flickering like a lure. I wanted to grab Nora and run, but crossing the threshold dulled my fear. Nora and Elise lounged by the fire, feeling good playing, cider in hand. The warmth wrapped me up. Where'd you want her off to, babe? Nora slurred, dreamy. My ordeal faded. Just stepped out for a sec. She smiled, soft and sad. MMM. New days coming, new days coming, new days coming. The record skipped. I hadn't noticed. Glass shattering jolted me awake. The fire was out, the room dark and stale. Alone. Another crash from the loft. I staggered up the stairs, feet throbbing. A breeze hit me, and Lise? What are you? Elise hurled another mug, her face hollow, arms dotted with dark, puckered marks, bites. A lone lamp cast weak light. She grabbed another mug, turning to me, terror etched deep. Lise, what's happening? What's on your arms? Feeling good blared from below. She flinched. Nora. I yelled, birds flying high. Nora. No reply. Lise, talk to me. She shook. I saw her. Ben. I know now. Who? What? The music swelled. She won't let us leave. We never should have come. She? Nora? What's going on? She's here with them. Watching, pulling us in. Always watching. She jittered, frantic. This song, it's hers. I never liked Nina's sim. She froze, eyes bulging, a primal fear slamming into me. No. She's... Something brushed my arm, I'd seen. The music rattled my bones. I spun back. Elise was on the deck. I can't, she whispered, stepping onto the railing. She tipped forward and vanished. Lise, no. My scream echoed. The song cut out. A dull thud below. I stumbled to the edge, peering into the void. No body, just darkness. My head pounded, thoughts fraying. I shuffled to Nora. She slept, serene. I locked the door, collapsing beside her, drained. A faint sob, like a child's, drifted in. So tired. Tap, tap, tap. I kept my eyes shut, light seeping through. Tap, tap, tap. A melody hummed, soothing yet hollow. My head throbbed, icy, pulsing pain. The floor beneath me was rough, not the bed silk. Tap. I opened my eyes. The sunken living room. How? Nora hummed nearby, her voice cutting through the ringing in my skull. I stood, shaky. Nora. Morning, hon. You look rested. Making a mimosa, extra zest, your fave. Want one? She swayed, radiant in my half-buttoned shirt. Nora, Elise, she last night. Who? Her smile held a faint puzzlement. Elise. She jumped off the deck. A sob choked me. She's gone, Nor. Her gaze softened. Oh, hon, that's awful. Was she from your hiking group? No, Elise Carter. Our friend. Here with us. If this is a prank, it's sick. She brought me a glass, confusion flickering. Ben, we came alone. Our little escape, remember? She traced the shirt's edge, teasing. No Elise here. She sipped, licking her lip. Just us. No, Nora, I'm serious. Ben, you're stressed. She stepped closer, shirt slipping off a shoulder. Maybe we could. Her warmth pulled at me, but I resisted. Nora, something's wrong here. The song, the cider, when did we last eat? Elise remembered. What were we missing? She pressed against me, seductive. The retreat, it was all a trap. I broke free, racing to the loft. Elise had to be there. I saw her fall. Glass stabbed my foot, proof it happened. I hobbled to the deck, head splitting. Below, Elise sprawled on a jagged rock, torn, ravaged, like something had feasted. The music started again. Sun in the sky. Nora. She's there. My thoughts melted, warm and soft. Great song. Amazing retreat. I limped downstairs. Nora lounged, shirt discarded, swaying to the beat. Our getaway. Just us. I woke on the couch, head on Nora's lap. She stroked my hair. Wondered when you'd stir. Were we talking? Not much talking, she smirked. A word danced out of reach, trivial yet nagging. How long have we been here? Not long enough. But you should hike, get that rugged scent going. Hike. Something stirred deja vu. Yeah, I'll pop out. The words slipped out, unease flickering. A bear attack story? A lost hiker? I shook it off. Wait, there's a TV in the cellar. Might catch a game. Her breath hitched. Don't. Urgent, sharp, like Elise's stop. Her eyes fluttered. Lazy. Don't. Forget your drink. The cellar door was low, tucked by the bedrooms. I ducked down creaky steps, foot aching. Static buzzed, a faint glow ahead. An old TV flickered, wood paneled, knobs gleaming. I sat, dazed. Why was I here? Photos, a shoebox, edges curling. A family, a girl on a tire swing, a boy with his mom in sunlight, a teen weaving a basket. Early 70s vibes, happy, simple. Tap, tap, tap. I pocketed a few for her. Who? Tap, tap. Her name, my foot. Tap, 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 tap. Static roared. Elise. Nora. It flooded back. A voice rasped behind me. You don't belong. Leave. Pain split my skull, blinding. I whirled, vision swimming. You don't belong. A chill hit, footsteps pounding up the stairs. Ben. Nora screamed. Nora. I rasped, dragging myself up, weak, foot screaming. Her cries grew raw. I crawled through the door, dust thick with bloody prints, small, large and slimy streaks. Blood smeared my face. In the hall, I froze. A thing gray, slick, eyeless, loomed over Nora. She was gaunt, chunks missing from her legs, chest. It tore at her side, gulping flesh. She clawed, shrieking. I lunged, slamming it off. It stumbled. I hauled Nora up, she retched, barely standing. The door. We staggered, inches away. Freedom. Nora lurched back, screaming. The thing gripped her arm, ripping skin. I yanked, bracing the frame. We tumbled onto the porch, her arm a shredded stump. Teeth gnashed behind us as I dragged her to the car. I don't recall driving. I woke in a hospital. Doctors said we were starved, dehydrated, found after a week missing. Work called Tuesday. Juniper's sitter alerted authorities Thursday. Nora shook, vomiting blood that first day. Doctors shrugged off her missing arm and wounds. Lost hikers hallucinate, they said. You're lucky to be here. Nora limps, aches, her left arm weak. I get migraines. Psychosomatic, they say. Meds dull it, but I see her torn open. She avoids my gaze. Days later, I saw the nails, tin, driven into my scalp. Elise hit me weeks later. Her brother claims she's an only child. No work records, no photos, gone, erased. I doubt they'll find her hatchback. That thing consumed her body and all. The photos survived in my pocket. I posted them on a Cascade history forum. A reply came from Ridgewalker 72. Recognize that family. Tragic tale. Grew up with the boy, Tim Harrow. Decent kid, long time back. Dad, old Jim Harrow, took their little girl, Lila, camping. Never returned, vanished. Big news locally, but we're sparse out here. Mom, Ruth, and the kids, Tim and older sister Clara, faded after. Winter 74, a ranger found Clara wandering, frozen stiff by morning. No sign of Ruth or Tim at their retreat, just blood, and later, bones out back. Autopsy said Clara's stomach held human flesh. Some say she turned on them, others just Tim and Ruth. Locals whisper she was hunting more when the cold took her. Stay safe. Clara Harrow, the basket girl. She fed on Elise, then Nora. I hid it from Nora, she's fragile enough. Then she remembered Jake, Elise's partner. Frisco Bay, she'd called him, loving Nina Simone. I recall him now mixing drinks, swaying. We don't dwell on it. But lately, another name creeps in. Lila, our daughter.